guy who said 16 touch points before, like for a single ad, you don't want to be that guy. There are strategies and best practices in place for your frequency. Now remember, your frequency is related to your reach versus your impressions. Welcome back to The Marketing Solution. My name is Shelby Paige. I am your host, and today we're going to be talking about an age-old question for beginner media buyers or paid ad specialists, ad strategists, whatever you call yourself for your entry-level position. Something that you're going to see on the back end of Facebook Ads Manager, one of the first metrics that pop up right next to your budget, right next to whether or not the ad is active, is going to be reach and impressions. So I get this question all the time. What is the difference between reach and impressions? This is actually very interesting. We didn't get a chance to go over it on the last couple of episodes when we were talking about optimizing an ad account, because this is more of a base level understanding of what your ads are and what they're doing. So what is reach? Reach is the unique amount of people that see your ad. Right? So if you see an ad 500 times, that's still one reach. One unique viewer has been reached in that metric. What are impressions? Impressions are how many times that ad has been shown to people, period. If you had one person who saw your ad 500 times, you would have 500 impressions and one reach. Do you understand? It reached one unique human, but it was shown 500 times total. If those are your stats, there is something very wrong in your ad account. You should not be the only person seeing your ad. But reach and impression do make way to a third statistic that it lives inside of your ads manager called frequency. So there's a kind of a formula. I'm sorry for the math, but this is how these ads work, right? So if you divide your impressions by your reach, you will get the frequency. The frequency is the amount of times on average that a single person has seen your ad. So, in our branding stuff, we've talked about 6 to 8 touch points needed to have your brand saturate. Your frequency is a good indicator of how many touch points a person has had with a single ad or ad set. So if you have 200 impressions, 200 times your ad has been shown, to 100 people, 100 unique viewers reached, then you have a frequency of 2. 200 divided by 100 is 2. Got me? I know math is hard. I know it sucks, but this is what's going on in your ad account. These are how your ads are working. So if you have 1,000 impressions, 500 people reached, your frequency is still 2. You get what I'm saying here? When you have a frequency of 2, that means on average, one person saw your ad twice. Some people, and this varies from media buyer to media buyer, from a strategy to strategy, some people want you to recognize a single ad multiple times. So the frequency, the acceptable frequency, it varies based on the different layers that you're in the funnel, and it also kind of varies based on the strategy you're trying to implement. So for example, I had an old CEO that I worked for that demanded, I was a media buyer, that demanded that every ad that he put out into the world was seen by people an average frequency of 16 times. That means that one person saw his face, his talking head, go on and on and on, the exact same piece of content 16 times in a row. That was a parameter of success for him. Now, in my opinion, that's very excessive, especially understanding that you only need 8 touch points to convert someone to a sale. So if you're seeing them double that amount of time, 16 times, we would have people commenting on our ads saying things like, "Oh my God, I see your face every time I open my Facebook, please stop." He bragged about that. That's his strategy. That's not necessarily best practices. A lot of times when you see the frequency rise, you can see a diminishing return on your ads because of ad fatigue. Ad fatigue is when someone sees the same amount of ads so many times that they're sick of you. I'm sure you've experienced this as a user before, where you're seeing the same exact ad over and over and you finally start trashing on it a little bit. You're talking about it and you're like, "I am never going to buy your product. Stop spamming me," things like that. And then the poor social media strategist has to go in and block a bunch of things, block a bunch of comments. So that is a very good indicator of ad fatigue. We're going to talk about different steps in the funnel and what the frequency should be. So if you are top of funnel, as in if you are saturating someone for the first time ever, you're trying to get your product in front of brand new eyes, your frequency should be a 1. No one should be seeing your ad more than one time. Maybe if your niche is very small, maybe you're going to want that frequency to be up to a 2. But in general, you're going to need that top of funnel layer to do its job of saturating new markets, and you're going to want the frequency to be between a 1 and a 2. For your middle of funnel, aka retargeting people who have already seen your brand, for them, you're going to want the frequency to be between a 2 and a 4. That's going to be very important. They're going to need to remember you and recognize all of the pain points that you're addressing in your middle of funnel. Bottom of funnel, it's going to be very quick to have ad fatigue because that audience is so small, but you're not going to want it to be above a 6 or an 8. That's going to be way too many touch points for people that are going to get annoyed with you. Like I said, the guy who said 16 touch points before, for a single ad, you don't want to be that guy. There are strategies and best practices in place for your frequency. Now remember, your frequency is related to your reach versus your impressions. Impressions, how many times total your ad has been shown. Reach, how many unique people your ad has been shown to. Impressions divided by reach equals frequency. And that's how you use those metrics of success to be able to optimize your ad account. That's it for now. Tune in next week for more marketing tips to help you become a better marketer. And we're out.